let's go into our round 17 tipping, and it really has a solid game to get us started. A huge top four matchup here with Port Adelaide and Melbourne taking place at the Adelaide Oval. Let's start off with a bang. Who you got in this game?
Oh man, this literally is gonna be bang. I'm sorry to say this, Melbourne fans. I've given you a lot of love all year, but I'm gonna go Port on this one. I think Port is playing better. This is on the road. Melbourne did not play well the last time they played over in Adelaide, and I think this Port Adelaide team is better than the Adelaide team that they lost to. Being completely honest with you, unless I see Ben Brown on the Melbourne team sheet, I'm concerned Melbourne could get blown out in this one because I think Port is playing better. There are rumors, have not 100% confirmed this, that young superstar Butters may be back as early as this week to play for Port, which would be an absolutely electric addition to this Port Adelaide team, who is missing Fantasia but is still playing really, really well. I'm gonna keep my ear to the floor on this one to hopefully see if that comes true, because if it does, I'd be even a little bit more concerned as a Melbourne fan, because that is an amazing in for Port if they can bring in Zach Butters for this one.
Wouldn't that be neat? Yeah, it's hard to tell because you gotta see, I guess, if those couple names I just threw off are going to be on. And I know that in my pair rankings, I just said that I have more confidence in Melbourne than I do Port Adelaide. It's really close, and especially I think the thing that puts this game over is that it's taking place in the Adelaide Oval, and you made a great point with the D's losing to the Crows at the same venue. It might be a tough place to play again, especially with how much is on the line and how competitive these teams are. I'm going to be with you and go with Port Adelaide, but I wouldn't say I'm rooting for Melbourne, but there's a part of me that wants to see me kind of prove people wrong about them and maybe see a complete offensive performance. So I guess only time will tell with this Thursday night game. Now, the next one, going to Friday, we have a couple ones on this evening. We have Essendon and the Adelaide Crows first off in Marvel Stadium. And I am going to roll with the Dons on this one. I think the Bombers get it done. It's going to be interesting to see how Taylor Walker comes into play, if he's available and fully healthy for this game. Obviously, if he isn't, I'm picking Essendon 10 times out of 10. If he is, I'm just picking Essendon 8 times out of 10.
Oh, this is the game I really, really want to know, is Taylor Walker going to play and how healthy is he? If he's anything less than 90%, I'm concerned this could get ugly for Adelaide very, very quickly. Essendon, I don't know. They hit a wall a little bit. I'm a tiny bit concerned on that, but I'm going to tip the bomb. We pull my tips up. I had them just a second ago. I have Essendon winning this one. I just wanted to double check. I was like my mind there for half a second. Yes, I have Essendon winning this one. It's in Victoria. They always play Victoria really well. I think Geelong, they ran out of steam. It was a long ground, which I think disadvantaged them a little bit. Adelaide doesn't have the tall defense or the intercepting defenders that Geelong has. So I think Essendon will have a lot more success. I have the Bombers winning this one.
And then the other Friday night game is going to be Hawthorn and Freo. And unfortunately for Freo, it's been a good Hawks team, and this game is taking place in Tassie. So, I mean, we all know how the Hawks play up there in that part of the country. So, I'm rolling with Hawthorn in this one. Unless Fremantle could magically fix their goal-kicking accuracy, I think it's going to be a long game for them.
Me being at the University of Tasmania, Hawthorn plays Tassie so well. I think there's a little bit of a blip this week playing a really good Port Adelaide team. Freo, I think they're reeling a little bit after this Carlton loss. I think that really dented their confidence a little bit. I'm going to go Hawthorn on this one. Sorry, Freo fans, that I feel much more confident down in Tassie with Hawthorn than I do Freo at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And then moving on to our Saturday slate of games, we got Carlton and Geelong at the historic MCG. And man, if Geelong keeps things rolling, Carlton might be riding a little bit of a high, But even with Jeremy Cameron being out for this game, I love Geelong in this one, and it shouldn't be too close of a game. If it is, I wouldn't be surprised, but this should still always be 4 points to the Cats.
This is one I think even without Jeremy Cameron, I think Geelong just has a little too much. They're going to put so much pressure on this back line to play perfect footy, and they're notorious for having an error at the worst possible times. So I will tip the Cats in this one.
And the next game is an interesting one because we just talked up this St. Kilda team. Is one of these ones, one of almost any non-top 8 team that you really don't want to overlook. And if you're the Brisbane Lions, this is a crucial game. It kind of has trap game written on it. I could definitely see this. I think Brisbane is a smart enough team where they don't really fall into it. And this is, I mean, I haven't heard this venue before. The stadium's name is To Be Confirmed, so I'm really looking forward to this brand new stadium, I guess. But as of recording, things still aren't set. It is looking like it's going to be taking place in New South Wales, although it's still subject to move. So the stadium may play a role in this one, but I think ultimately Brisbane has more than enough talent to get things done if they play their style of footy.
Okay, gonna warn quick. I think you're gonna get nipped in the comments section a little bit because Brisbane is in Queensland, not in New South Wales.
No, I mean not. Sorry, the game's taking place there, not the team. Excuse me.
We'll have to see. I think New South Wales is where the majority of the cases are. So I'm highly doubt it'd be in New South Wales. It's either gonna
with
be
this information. I'm just going off of what the AFL is giving me right now. Okay.
Okay, so New South Wales must have really made all this disappear very quickly. I would think they would try to get this up in Queensland because that's where it's originally supposed to be. I think I have heard talk this one or another one could be at Ballarat. That's definitely a possibility. I don't think it really matters honestly where it's played. I think Brisbane wins this one just because I don't think St. Kilda has the correct horses to stop the Danahers, the Hipwoods, the Camerons, the Baileys. Lincoln McCarthy's playing well. They've got so many weapons right now up front. If Lachie Neale comes back, he'll have a week of rest on that body. I think he'll still play really well. This is just such a good Brisbane Lions team. I just have a hard time seeing St. Kilda knocking them off, so I have the Lions in this one.
Mm-hmm. Definitely reasonable there. Now, with the GWS Giants and the Gold Coast Suns, this is a game where, as a Giants fan, I'm a little bit worried about this one because we know Gold Coast's performance late in the season. We know how the Giants like to blow really good opportunities. And this has a Giants choke job all over it. But I have confidence, maybe a little bit too much in this team. I like the Giants, but man, I'm going to be white-knuckled watching this entire game of football until that final siren sounds.
The only thing that I think GWS is much more healthy. I think there's a lot more structure to them, so I'm not as worried for GWS as I was for Richmond. Like Richmond, I could see some danger signs on the horizon going into that one. I think GWS coming off a big win. I agree with you. There is a tiny chance you could see a letdown because they're like, you beat Melbourne, great job, you're in the finals, and this is the week where you see Gold Coast on, and you kind of that proverbial trap game in American sports, that team you overlook, the team you're not expecting. So do keep an eye on this one. I think Gold Coast is sneaky, but I'm gonna go GWS on this one. I think Coach Cameron has got them playing good footy right now. I think they're just gonna have a little too much, especially if they put Mumford in the ruck. I think he's gonna terrorize those young ruckmen for the goal. I think GWS wins this one, but it will not shock me if Gold Coast stays in this one because they're playing with a ton of confidence right now.
Yeah, they do, and it's that confidence that could be really scary, like to a team like the Giants that kind of pick and choose when they want to show up, so it's going to be an interesting game. That. And now, I think this, at least besides the Port Adelaide Melbourne game, has a chance to be one of the most pivotal games on the fixture, and that is the Western Bulldogs and the Sydney Swans right now. This is taking place at Marvel Stadium. And, man, especially going off of what we saw last round. Yes, Western gets the win, but it's a little bit lackluster against North Melbourne team, but they do play well. The Sydney Swans, they get a huge win over a top 8 team, but the West Coast has been kind of struggling, a little bit suspect recently. I am going to tip the Sydney Swans in this one, but this is a really hard one for me to pick because you can easily make an argument for either teams for totally different reasons. If Sydney could avoid a slow start, which kind of dooms them in a lot of these big games, if they're able to get things going, get things fast, and maybe get Buddy Franklin rolling early, then this could be a really hard game for the Western Bulldogs, especially if I think this game is probably going to be taking place, kind of what you mentioned when we were looking at the Western Bulldogs against the North Melbourne Roos game. It's going to come down to the midfield battle, and I think Sydney might actually be able to edge them out in this one.
Oh man, this one, it's the arena it's the stadium that they're playing at is the thing that concerns me as a Swans fan. The Western Bulldogs play Marvel Stadium so well. It really fits their style more than any stadium throughout all of Australia. If it were up to me as a Swans fan, I would have preferred the MCG here because the MCG fits a little bit more of what Sydney wants. They want open space, they want ground. Marvel is a quick deck, which I think really fits the Western Bulldogs. I'm gonna play the reverse psychology on this one. I'm gonna tip the Western Bulldogs. I'm going to be cheering so hard for the Swans in this one. I think the Western Bulldogs have just a tiny bit too much in the midfield. Bontempelli is an absolute animal. As much as I would love it, I don't know if Sydney's got somebody that can neutralize him enough to impact the game. I think Buddy still has a really good game because I think Alex Keith. I don't know if Alex Keith can shut him down. I think this could be one of those, a lot like the Freo game. I think Buddy could kick 5 and Sydney loses and Sydney falls by like 8 because this is going to be a close game. The midfield's going to be a fun battle to watch. I really want to see, does Jamar Ugle-Hagan get his first game as a Western Bulldog in this game with Aaron Naughton going down? This opens up a spot Mara to potentially play, which will be quite an interesting little matchup there. As you have Bunnicklin and the kid that's being compared to him potentially on the same field at the same time. So it's a little side story. We'll have to see if that comes true. It'll really be interesting to see. Like I said, I'm going to tip the doggies. I think this is under goal. I think this is game of the round for sure of this round.
That'd be a lot of fun. Wouldn't that be one hell of a clash of storylines right there? Now, our Sunday game, I guess this is going to be Sunday afternoon for you guys over in Australia. This is Richmond and Collingwood, and I would love to tip Collingwood in this one. I don't think we see 3 losses in a row for this Richmond team, especially against the lower teams like they have been. I'll tip Richmond at the MCG, but Collingwood's going to be in this one.
Oh boy, you ready for this?
Please give it to me, Donnie.
I'm tipping the Pies in this one because
I love it.
Basher Hooley unfortunately is hurt. I don't think he's going to play, and another defensive injury is not what this Richmond team needs. Yes, you get Tom Lynch back and he kicks goals, but as we saw last week against a depleted Gold Coast team, this Tigers team defensively, if you attack them through the corridor and you attack their gaps, you can open them up and you can score on them. Collingwood has just enough weapons in the midfield and up front. I think they're going to give the Tigers issues. I'm going to tip the Pies on this one.
I really hope that comes true solely so we can see the kind of reaction that Richmond fans might be able to give us on social media if they were to drop 3 games like that in just really brutal fashion. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I don't have anything against Richmond fans, but they do bring the comedy when it comes to reactions on losses and what they bring on social media. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But we're going to cap this round off with a game between the West Coast Eagles and the North Melbourne Roos. And I swear, Donnie, if this wasn't at Optus, I would be tipping North Melbourne so hard in this one. But it's at that damn stadium, and it's always hard to pick against West Coast no matter their struggles. But I really would not be surprised if the Roos get the win in this one. Really would not be surprised.
If the talk that I'm hearing, because this game is actually going to be Monday, which is going to make my team of the week fun next, because I'm literally going to have to watch this game in the morning and then spend all day trying to get the team together. So,
right.
So just warning you, Ross, the team of the week's going to be a bit later. Going to be
Hey,
a full day later than it normally
is.
is.
Cool with that.
Nah, but it'll be fun. If I hear correctly, it sounds like there's a potential absolute full house for this game out in Optus Stadium.
Oh,
so
that's good.
As much as it would be great to watch the Roos find a way to knock off the Eagles and just to see the insanity that the bottom of the ladder could take on if some of these games go the way they could, I think a full crowd. Liam Ryan will be back, which for some reason Liam Ryan tends to be some kind of that little stabilizer for this West Coast team, which he wasn't in this game against Sydney, which you could almost make an argument they missed him big time in this last game. I'm going to tip the West Coast Eagles, but I'm with you. If the Roos find a way to win this one with the putrid and tepid performance that West Coast put on, it will not surprise me, because this Roos team is playing better footy. They seem fearless. They're young. They don't care, and they're just getting after it as much as they can. So it'll be an entertaining game of footy on a Monday morning.
Yeah, that's going to be a really interesting one. And man, depending on how a few of these games go, this might be one of my favorite rounds of the year, just based off results and seeing what teams might be able to win and what fan bases might be really, really hurt after this round of footy.